Welcome. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're turning a graphic design test into a rapid-fire explainer to see how well you really know the fundamentals. Ready to see if you've got the basics down? Let's get started.
Okay, let's dive right in. No warm-up, no messing around. Here's your first question to get us started.
So, we'll start with the biggest and most foundational questions, the ones that kind of define this whole field.
Seems like a simple question, doesn't it? But the answer is really at the heart of everything designers do. So take a second. What's your guess?
The crucial point here is that it's all about communication. It's not just making things look pretty. It's about taking a message and translating it into a visual language that anyone can understand instantly.
This is a term you hear all the time in the design world, for sure. But if you had to pin down the exact meaning, could you?
Basically, it's about the arrangement and design of the letters and words you're reading right now. It's way more than just picking a font. It's about adjusting the size, the spacing, all the little details that make something a pleasure to read instead of a chore.
Okay, so that builds nicely. Let's move on and talk about the tools of the trade. Every artist needs their workshop, right?
You've probably heard of these programs, but do you know what each one is specifically for? A lot of people think they're interchangeable, but they're really not.
Now, what's really interesting here is how it shows there's a right tool for every job. Think of it like this. Photoshop is for photos, anything with pixels. Illustrator is for logos and icons, things you draw from scratch. And InDesign is where you bring it all together for publications like magazines or brochures.
Great. Now that we have our tools, let's talk about the rules and principles that guide a designer's work. This is the fun stuff.
This isn't random. There's a real science to arranging things on a page so that your eye knows exactly where to look.
And that science is called composition. It's the foundation of any good layout, making sure everything feels balanced, intentional, and just right.
And this illustrates one of the most powerful tools in composition, hierarchy. Your eye is naturally drawn to the biggest text first, right? That's the designer telling you what's most important, what to read first, second, and third.
And don't forget white space. Seriously, it's not just empty space. It's an active element that gives a design room to breathe and helps focus your attention. It's powerful stuff.
Okay, let's get a little more technical now. This next concept is absolutely 100% critical in digital design.
This is a classic question that stumps a lot of people. The easiest way to think about it is to compare a photograph to a company logo.
So, here's the crucial point. Raster graphics are like mosaics made of tiny squares called pixels. If you make them bigger, they get blurry. Vector graphics, on the other hand, are like blueprints made of mathematical lines and curves. You can scale them up to the size of a billboard, and they will stay perfectly sharp.
And this is why it matters in the real world. You use raster for detailed photos where you need to edit every single pixel, but for logos that have to be resized for everything from a business card to a giant sign, it has to be vector. No question.
All right, let's bring all these concepts together. Let's see how they apply when you're actually working on projects for real clients.
It's a word that gets thrown around constantly, but it's so much more than just a logo. So what does it really encompass?
Think of it like this. You're creating the entire visual personality of a company. It's the logo, sure, but it's also the color palette, the fonts they use, the style of their photos, the whole vibe.
And this is often the path to get there. You start with a basic wireframe, like a blueprint. Then you create a realistic mock-up so the client can see what it'll look like. And you finish with a style guide, which is basically the rule book to keep everything looking consistent down the line.
So what should you take away from all this? If you forget everything else, remember these 5 things. We've blitzed through them today, but this is the core of it all. Design is communication, and these are its most basic rules.
And that leaves us with our final question, which is really just something for you to think about. The software will change, new tools will pop up, but will these fundamental principles ever go out of style? Thanks for taking the quiz with us.